We would like to open the floor to questions and remarks also from other countries, from other sides, to Mr. Yiannopoulos, if there are any.
I would like to ask Mr. Yiannopoulos, in his opinion, what are the key factors that can attract investment increase in innovative sectors? What are the advantages that can attract and have already attracted the companies you mentioned?
That's an excellent question. I think our bet and our job on Enterprise Greece is actually attracting investments and promoting Greece as an investment destination. Now, our job is much easier when you have stability in the region, and as you know, that hasn't been the case, especially in Europe and globally. But I think it's actually putting forward that Greece has been a success story for the last 3 years. We've been one of the most emerging economies in Europe and in the world. So I think it's exactly that, showing to the investors that apart from any incentives that we can carry forward for any investments that can be increased, that's from being tax breaks, the fast track law that we have in Enterprise Greece for strategic investments, their investment is protected, that there's a 5-10 year plan, then the multiples and the possibility for growth and, of course, income, because that's the main point of any investment, right? To have some profit is secured, and there is a plan for attracting even more investment and creating a proper infrastructure in Greece to accommodate all these investments that are willing to come here.
No. Okay. Please enjoy your food finally. Thank you very much for your presentation. I actually just have a short question to you, to learn about your experience in engaging with the Western Balkans. How easy or difficult do you find identifying PPPs with the Western Balkans? In terms of engagement and to see what is actually out there, and also then in the implementation of those. What are the bottlenecks there? But we are having Chatman House rules here, so if you may want to share a bit of the experience in this kind of engagement. Thank you.
Sure. Everything starts with dialogue. We're here right now talking about PPPs, one of the subjects. I think it is the way forward. It is because there is a point where for an environment, an economic environment to change, you need big projects. And especially in Greece, any big project has to be in cooperation with the government, like infrastructure. And as I have said before, you need the guidance of any country, any government, to be able to go along hand in hand with the investor and bring forward that big investment. Because the connection, as I mentioned before, with Bulgaria for the natural gas pipeline, you need both governments to cooperate, but you need the skill and the know-how of the private investor. They are actually the ones implementing the project. Now, I think the Balkans and in general our neighborhood has many things to happen even better if we cooperate. I think we're already doing that. We are already talking. I think we all love our neighbors. So in a way, I think it's sitting down and actually planning for the future ahead. One, I think, of the main things was the energy crisis, which I think, in a way, we weren't prepared for it. But during the last year, there have been many turns to actually diverting any kind of funds coming from Europe. As you know, the REPowerEU, that it's the moving funds from the recovery resilience facility towards that securing the energy capacity of any country. So I think it's up to us to coordinate so we can actually provide like a gateway from Asia and kind of like southeast towards mainland Europe, like with gas, with petrol, all this kind of energy efficiency that we can provide. But I think it's talking. That's my main, I think, having events like that and actually for the governments to cooperate and lay down a plan for the next 10, 15 years.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I want to kind of change a bit your question into Greece has been in the last years, being in the center for receiving investments, as you said, big data centers, and you describe a bit the cooperation with many countries from other regions, not just the Western Balkans. So I want to reverse it a bit, and even now, or with a vision towards the future, in which sectors, in your opinion, could Greece be not the recipient of investments, but turn and become the investor itself and promote better cooperation and growth within its regions, be in the Western Balkans, be in the East Med, be in the South? In which sectors, fields, in what way can Greece lead instead of just being the recipient of investments?
That's an excellent question. I think our main strength is our workforce. I think we have a highly skilled workforce in Greece. We are, I think, in 2021 there was we were ranked 19th out of 120 countries in the world of skill efficiency. We have like 65% English speaking with university degrees. You can see that example from here in Thessaloniki, where Pfizer 3-4 years ago opened a technological research center with the view of hiring 200 people. That within a year became 500. Now they're talking about being 700, and hopefully they're talking about 1,000. So I think the first thing that Greece can offer is expertise. We are becoming a hub, as you said, for technology. Of course, having all those big tech giants, as I mentioned before, Amazon, Google, and Microsoft, building these cloud computing services that can actually help connect, because a geostrategic location between Europe and Asia, as you know, is critical. So that can be something, the second one, like actually technological infrastructure relating to the cloud and kind of, even if you want artificial intelligence, which I think one of the points was raised here as well with Beyond. So building that environment for big companies to come and educate and work and actually do the research, I think that's the second step for exporting products outside of Greece. You can see that from the startups that are taking here place, because we have seen now that the ecosystem that we're building, we have our first unicorn in Greece, as you know, with Viva Wallet from JP Morgan with a valuation of like close to 2 billion. So building that environment for people that can start and become entrepreneurs to then go forward, I think that's one of the main things that Greece can do. And this, another thing is, as you know, tourism is one of the main sectors of Greece. We've got 25% of the GDP is relates to tourism and hospitality. And I think what we know, what we can offer as a product can then be transferred to other countries. And that is being actually shown, but I don't know if you're aware, Goldman Sachs is planning to open the first hotel here in Chalkidiki, close to Saloniki, and it's a landmark project because they want to create their own new chain of hotels that they will then take and move to the world. So I think it's kind of learning from what we have here, what we can do best, and then trying to export it to the world. And the last thing, as I mentioned before, is energy. We are a massive producer of solar power. I think in November if I'm not mistaken, for a day. We actually had whatever produced and consumed for like it was October. So, you know, energy is something else that we can actually help with.
Please.
Christina, Agri-Food Lithuania. Well, agri-food also is a big sector in Greece, of course, and when you talk about attracting startups coming because you have skills, artificial intelligence, which is very important for the upcoming period, we are talking about digitalization and etc. Do you have special programs? We're planning maybe, I don't know, special programs for the attraction startups, because startups right now in Europe, it's like the most wanted, so everyone is hunting them. So it is not that easy. We've been working a lot building ecosystem of the startups in Baltic states, and we see that lots of them, they actually they move to the other member states for entrepreneurship. They get like special infrastructure supports and stuff like that, but like the best ones are most wanted. So do you plan or do you have something like this for in Greece?
The short answer is yes. Greece has, for the last 3 years, we have a specific startup registry called Elevate Greece, which now, I think it's 700 startups already in place. We have specific incentives for startups from funding. We have specific, it was an Equifund now that's until something new will come that will actually help them with funding. We've got lots of accelerators that are actually incubators that exist in Greece. Some of us are here with us in the IBAN conference with Capsule Tea, Egg, one of the major ones in Greece. The Greek Chamber of Commerce and other organizations have their own accelerators within their operation. But I think that what I think Greece is trying to do now is kind of encompass and kind of build on that knowledge of, as I said before, of new highly skilled people that are coming, and having an environment that can flourish with, apart from the incentives, right? Apart from, you know, which is the main thing for the investors, to actually promote as a destination for startups. Because anything is funding. So if you don't have funding, there's nothing you can do. So if you can promote the investors, then I think everything else will come. But we have certain investors in place for R&D, for different specific criteria. So I think it's just building on that awareness, and that there are many startups that people can invest into and then can go on forward and become, you know, big companies. But I think it's the environment. I think that's what we need to build on, and the rest will come. I think that's my opinion, at least.
Yes. Okay, good. Just because your answer gave me another question about the competitive advantage of Greece, and we mentioned the startups and the accelerators, and it's I guess it's a trendy thing to say startup right now, and everybody wants to say it. But I think in Greece you also have the small, medium enterprises that has been the backbone of our economy for many years. So to what extent as an enterprise Greece, do you interact with them or create the ecosystem necessary to spark innovation there as well? So not just from young people that create an idea or create a startup and, you know, they get into an incubator and they become a unicorn or something, but SMEs that, you know, work on a community level, but they're able also to innovate for local communities and then create a bottom-up approach.
The main thing, as I mentioned before, we are part of the Gazelle project. I don't know if you're aware of that. It's an EU-funded program for the Balkan Mediterranean region specifically, and it's designed to help and scale up and accelerate specifically small and medium-sized businesses. So that's exactly kind of what your question is. But I think what we do as Enterprise Greece is we try and as I said, our mission is twofold: is to actually promote and attract investments and increase exports. So how can we do that? First of all, by promoting Greece as an investment destination. But the second leg is where you educate companies, you educate exporters, you educate small and medium-sized enterprises, because that's the backbone of Greece as well. Now we're starting to see the big boys that are going to come and be in Greece. How to go about entering markets, how to go about packaging and promoting the product, how to go about with trade missions and actually finding local partners in the country that they want to invest. And I think that that's one of the really important things that we do. And because if you don't go to trade mission and see that, because you rent B2B meetings with local partners, and when you have the opportunity to showcase your country and you bring along partners that can work in the local country where you go for each time, you need to kind of show them that going together and building a brand, let's say, of Greece is the way to go. Because like we have a trade fair. If you don't have companies here, what are you showcasing? Then you go trying to educate the exporters to go to trade fairs, tell them that it's important. You need to be there. If Greece is not there or your product is not there, you don't know about it. And you try to tell them that even if you have the same product exactly, you only increase your share, the share of the pie. Because before, if you don't go, you have 0%, and you get 10% of sales. The next year, 20%. Maybe the other guy will do it. Maybe you cooperate. So actually educating and doing what they need to enter new markets, I think is something that it's really important, and that's what we're trying to do. By having forums, by having online education classes about exporting, about what initiatives there are, and trying, of course, using all the EU-funded programs.
Thank you very much. I just have one question, and I'm sorry in advance if I misunderstood you or didn't hear very well. You mentioning and describing the ecosystem and these big investors coming in. I haven't heard you mentioning the cooperation or academia being part of your ecosystem. Academia meaning the educational academia.
Of course, I mean, as I said, Greece is one of the most highly skilled countries in the world. We actually have a huge number of professors and students that study outside, of course, of Greece, and now hopefully coming back so they can bring their knowledge back, as we'll call it, the brain gain. They have to go hand in hand. There's no question about it. It starts from the university, it starts from the tech centers, it starts from all the research centers. And I think now, slowly, we're trying to see build up that the cooperation is it's further needed, and I think everybody understands that. The specific programs run by the Demokritos, if I'm not mistaken, the Technological Center in Athens, and of course within the universities, and we see that there's talks about changing the law of how the universities operate, and I think that's how kind of maybe see, because I started in the UK, and I see how you can have the cooperation with research from private funded programs within the universities. I think hopefully that's something that I would like to see increase, but that's my aspiration. I don't have any legal power or say to that, but I think that's the way forward. You're having private funded programs within universities to educate and then kind of look where the future is going, because using what your means that are available to you is the only way that you can research and go in further and actually having, for example, the cloud computing is one thing, but having the people that can use those tools to to further advance that, like ChatGPT, AI, all those kind of things, you actually need someone to be able to go even further. So that lies within the university, and I think the universities need to cooperate for that specific reason.
Sorry. So, if we don't have... Roberta. Yes.
Thank you, Konstantin. Okay. What's your take on investments from Chinese partners?
What is there to take? Investment is an investment. In Greece, of course, we follow EU regulation. We are an EU country. We welcome Chinese funds, of course, as private investments. The only thing that needs to be it's different is that they cannot participate without a specific agreement with the Greek government if it's regarding infrastructure. So any kind of Chinese investor is welcome in Greece. We have seen many and participated actually to many kind of trade missions that are coming over to see, because now after COVID they're reopening and they're coming and they're looking for investment opportunities. But the only problem lies with, not problem, I'm sorry, the challenge is that they need a specific license to be able to take participation in any infrastructure with the EU and specifically in Greece. But of course, welcome.
It's not necessary to use a microphone now, but thank you very much. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your questions. We will take a break. I think we all need a break. I would like to invite you to visit also, since we are here, the International Expo. Apart from Pavilion 15, you can take up the stairs to Pavilion 13, which is another exhibition space. There is also an outdoor cafe here at the end of this pavilion, in case you want to see the light and the sun. Although I'm not sure the sun is shining at the moment. I heard in Chalkidiki it's raining. And we will continue in 1 hour from now at 4 p.m., exactly same room, with our next session on cross-border investments, followed by cybersecurity and disinformation. See you in a while. Thank you.
And go to IBAN as well next door.
Of course.